What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rad and Dad channel, or welcome if it's your first time. Either way, very glad to have you. We're talking about suspension today. We're talking about the RWD RS-1 Monoshock for the rear M8 Softail platform and Legends suspension Axio. It's the cartridge inserts specifically for this inverted front end on the Sport Glide, Lowrider S, and Fat Bob. But let's roll the intro. We'll come back.
Riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a
All right, so this is super weird. I haven't done a filming of a video in probably a good month and a half. I pre-recorded a bunch of stuff when I had some time off. Got a ton of stuff done all at once, edited all the stuff, and basically posted it. That way I would have a lot of free time right before my Tail of the Dragon trip and during, so I wouldn't have to worry about doing stuff here and there. Also, we went to Disney 3 days after I got back. Anyway, none of that matters to you guys because you guys have been seeing a video every single week anyway. But before I do my actual Tail of the Dragon videos, I wanted to do this video because I've had so many people ask me. I think quite a few people are getting annoyed because I keep telling them not yet, it's coming, to do a suspension review on the specific suspension setup I have on this M8 Lowrider S of mine, because it's a very common setup. And a lot of people want to know how I feel about it because there's a lot of people that say different things. But I wanted to make sure I had enough time to put some serious miles and some serious different riding conditions on these suspension components that I have before I told you guys definitively what I thought of it. So let's start with the rear. I put the RWD RS-1. I think it's like a 13 and a half inch shock. Either way, it raises it up. From my understanding, the maximum that you can raise up your rear shock without any different modifications to the swing arm or fender area at all. So it's a drop-in part, but it does raise the rear of the bike. That shock is awesome. I've taken it on a little bit of two-up riding, barely any, but a little bit. No issues with the two-up riding. It was adjustable fine. It's adjustable for preload, like most shocks, under the seat where the actual tube is, and then you have a rebound, harder or softer. Yeah, you can see it on this external tube that sits on that swing arm. Adjustable, and I think it's got like 16 settings or something. Maybe it's just 8. Either way, it's a hard stop, clockwise and counterclockwise, but it's really good. I had previously been running with it with a little bit less sag, so a little bit stiffer preload, and about medium to 3/4 of the way for full stiffness on rebound when I had the stock front forks. And that setup for me, I really liked it. It was a little bit stiff, but still absorbed enough, and I thought it was really good. So a few weeks ago, actually, a few weeks ago for you guys watching this, but a month and a half ago, 2 months, I put the front suspension fork cartridge inserts in. For those of you who don't know, I previously lowered my forks, raised my front suspension with the Harry Custom shims that allows you to actually grab full purchase from these tree mounts onto the fork because of the way these inverted forks are designed. So I had previously dropped it down with that. And then I put the Legends inserts in these. Now they are adjustable for preload, but these specific cartridge inserts are not adjustable for rebound or dampening, anything like that. It's just the preload setting. They are on the lowest setting that there is for me because I'm in the lowest weight class of that. Like I technically am lower than what the weight I think is like rated up to or whatever, but I can't even make it any lower. So this is by far the least preload that I can get on them. They're better than stock for sure. There is very little brake dive now, which is nice because that eats up a lot of your suspension travel. I love YouTube and I love the motorcycle community, but dear God, there are some people that say some weird things and they think it's gospel. But somebody was saying that, oh, you want brake dive because that's how you get trail braking stuff. Yes, I understand what trail braking is. I do it. However, you don't need suspension travel for trail braking. What you need is a slow and even increased pressure to that front wheel while you're braking, and it preloads the front tire and gets more of a contact patch for when you're leaning in. It has nothing to do with suspension. Your rear wheel or your front wheel is going to do that no matter if you have a stiff suspension or not. In fact, it even translates better to the front wheel the stiffer your front suspension is, because it's not lost in your travel. But anyway, like I was saying, the Legend suspension, it eats up a lot of that brake dive, which is really nice to lose. There is still a little bit more than I would personally like for this bike. Maybe if I was heavier, or I don't know, maybe I could adjust the preload. But the other thing that sucks about the Legends, to adjust that preload again, you basically have to uninstall the whole damn cartridge. You have to do everything. You have to drop the front wheel. It's just, it sucks for that kind of stuff. It's not very user friendly as far as like adjustability and stuff if you're changing anything. So if I were to do it all over again, I would probably adjust it one preload setting up, and that would maybe alleviate some of the brake dive. However, that brings me to my next kind of con about the Legends. It's a very rough feeling suspension. So currently, I told you guys what I was running with the RWD as far as settings go before I had the Legends. I played with it a little bit. Now, what I actually like, the setting that I'm going to leave it on, is the RWD at normal sag, which is just around an inch and a quarter-ish for me. It's about an inch before the bags, and it winds up being about an inch and a quarter when I put the leather pros I have on with all my stuff loaded on. So that's what it wound up being about for my Tail of Dragon trip the whole time I was over there. So I have that, and I actually have it on around the softest setting. Depending on what roads I'm on, I'll either be softest setting or 2 to 3 clicks up from the softest setting. So way softer than I had for rebound than I used to run, which was almost all the way the hardest setting. And I feel like that balances out the Legends cartridges a little bit. Before, I just felt like the whole bike was just very, I guess, stiff was the best feeling. Just like it did not handle bumps, and not even a comfort thing. The comfort, I've never had an issue with like lower back problems from jarring, bumps or anything like that. Just, it felt like the bike was unstable going over kind of bumps and absorbing kind of small imperfections. It just felt unstable to me as the rider. Well, obviously not very confidence inspiring. So ever since I've changed the RWD setting to that softer rebound and a little bit more sag, I feel like it balances out the stiffness of the Legends a little bit more, possibly. Maybe it's just in my head, but it feels like that kind of setup works good for this bike. Having ridden in the Tail of Dragon, we actually went up and down with 4 different times. We did the tail. You guys will see all that in videos and everything of the trip. We put a lot of miles, almost just over 900 in 3 days, which in twisty roads is quite a bit of riding. It was a lot of time in the saddles, which was, I loved it. It was a great trip. You guys will see that video coming up. But this setup is very confidence inspiring. I feel very happy and planted. No concerns of mine between the sticky Metzeler Cruise Techs that I'm running, which love those, and the suspension currently and the seat and everything. Just, I'm very, very locked in. Do have some other big changes for the bike coming up, so definitely make sure you're subscribed. Lots of stuff. I dropped a lot of money literally within 24 hours of coming home from the Tail of Dragon because of other stuff that I knew I wanted after doing another long trip like that with this current setup. Anywho, back to suspension. So now the big question, I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, well, would you do it again? Would you buy this setup again? RWD Monoshock, 100% I would buy again. The only other shock I would even consider trying out right now, I would consider trying the Fox shock if I wasn't spending my own money, just to see how close to the RWD it would be. I would not personally spend my own money on the Fox right now, knowing that the RWD is amazing. I will get the RWD. Or I would spend a little bit extra, just a tiny bit extra on the Öhlins. But honestly, I think for the money and the design of the RWD, I think the RWD, in my opinion, is a better all-around value and performs incredibly well, especially what I would assume compared to the Öhlins. I've never ridden on an Öhlins, but I know how they are installed. I know feedback from other people. I would personally, again, never hesitate to buy that RWD. The Legends. I would not buy these again. I would not. I would spend, and this is exactly what I said to, some people hit me up on Instagram and they asked me, I would drop a little bit more money, and it's not that I can't afford it. Obviously, I have no shortage of money to throw at this bike. I'm just making myself poor and bankrupt in every other aspect of life because all of my money goes here. It's just that I thought for the money, I was getting a decent product with the Legends for the front. A lot of guys love Legends and everything. Honestly, what I'm finding out, and you guys will see other reviews for other stuff from me as well once I've had a chance to complete my kind of testing phase of it. But I feel like it's essentially like Simpson and Lexan. Like, if you're in that it crowd, you swear by them, but once you've had a chance to ride on other stuff and actually see how other stuff performs, you kind of realize that it's not living up to the hype. That's how I feel about Legends. I have obviously not tested any other Legends suspension, just these, but in my opinion, I would not buy again. Even before I bought the Legends, I was talking to some people. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about purchasing the Legends, get my whole suspension setup complete from aftermarket. And I had everybody I talked to was like, don't do Legends, just save the money and get GP suspension. And I was like, whatever. I know Öhlins has it, but the GP suspension seems to be the general consensus of what is like the best setup for your forks. They're also very, very adjustable. I almost said very adjustability. They're very adjustable, especially compared to Legends, which, like we just covered, is almost not adjustable at all. When you look at the price difference, the GP is almost double the Legends. So yes, it is a lot of money. But I think in the long run, having the adjustability, having the higher grade suspension, I think it's good. Now, having the Legends already in the bike, am I going to buy new forks? Not for a very long time. If I do, it's gonna be like one of the last things I do to this bike, like 1 to 2 years down the road when every other thing is like completely done. I'm talking like even like possibly a custom paint job before I do the forks again, because right now with the setup I have, they work for what it is. If you are somebody, this is who I would recommend the Legends for. If money is really tight, you don't ever foresee yourself having what I think is like $1,300 or $1,400 the last time I checked for the GP suspension. If you don't see yourself ever having that kind of money to drop on front suspension, if you're pretty happy with stock suspension currently and you just want maybe a little bit of an upgrade for a little bit of money, maybe go ahead and do Legends. If you're somebody that rides a ton and I wouldn't say a stickler, but you're expecting a lot from a suspension upgrade like I was, I would personally say probably don't get the Legends. Probably just do the GP or I mean, obviously even Öhlins I'm sure is going to outperform Legends by a decent amount. So yeah, that is my pretty much review of the suspension. Like I said, my current setup for my weight, I know everybody's weight is always changing. As of right now, this video, I weigh about 175 to 180 depending on the day. And that is my current setup. That is how I run everything. Like I said, Legends, as little preload as possible, setting one basically as they come in the box, and the RWD with pretty much the exact amount of sag, if not a hair over, that RWD recommends in the box, and on the lowest /2 to 3 setting for preload hardness, soft. Handles good, absorbs bumps, doesn't jar. It's still a little stiff for my liking. I know some of you guys are gonna say, well, that's the purpose of performance suspension. It's supposed to be stiff and it's like a track-ready bike. I get that. But you can very much have stiff suspension while at the same time absorbing imperfections on the road much better. I'm not asking for an airbagged ride. I don't want to flow down the road like I'm on a cushion of air. I understand that's not realistic to have a performance style bike and have that kind of suspension. That's not ever what I was after. But I do want to not feel like the bike is getting squirrely over some rough spots in the road and stuff. And I think that is very much obtainable with some possibly different front suspension components. But yeah, that is my current suspension. Like I said, I had no issues any of my riding on the Taylor Dragon or anything like that. The bike performed awesome. I love this bike. So no issues. Confidence inspiring, yes. Take that with a grain of salt. I am also by no means a professional rider or track rider or stunt rider. I am just your average, granted above average, very incredibly good looking, but average nonetheless, just guy who makes some YouTube videos. So take that information and do with it what you will. I had to get this video done because you guys are never going to stop bugging me until I get it done. So there it is, and hopefully it helped. If you have any more in-depth questions or you want to shoot me questions or videos or whatever, comments, Instagram is the best place to do that. It's easy to have a conversation. I talk to you guys like every day. I talk to probably 10 or more of you guys every day. Motorcycle community is great. I say it all the time, but it's very true. Please like this video. Like I said in the beginning, subscribe. Lots of other cool stuff. Almost said the bad word that YouTube would have not liked. Lots of cool stuff on this bike to come, and lots of cool stuff that I obviously already did to it. So there's a playlist devoted to it. Make sure you check out that playlist. Check out all the links below. My Tucker Speed affiliate and coupon code for you guys. All that good jazz. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next time, guys, ride safe, have fun, Dad out.